not stuck. You're in a strange loop. Um, and if you don't know what that is, I didn't either till recently. A strange loop, it's about recursion. It's about, so instead of just a circle where it goes round and round and round and it never stops and it doesn't change, this is like, it's a loop. So, and every time it goes back to its the same point, it starts building on itself. It's a loop that folds in on itself. It's self-referential. It knows that it exists. And it is this idea of emergence, like a sufficiently complex system, like the brain, will, once it becomes sufficiently complex, there's not going to be any way to stop certain properties that were not planned or that weren't really the purpose of that system to start emerging. That's emergent properties, and there's emergent properties coming from these loops that you feel like you're stuck in right now. There's properties of this. There's qualities in your life that are coming to bear that are um, actually blessings, and they're not blessings in disguise. They're just blessings. They're things that are you're really going to love. And if you feel like you're doomed in this cycle uh, of, of, of this endless, never changing cycle, I hate to break it to you, or I don't really, that it's not a never changing cycle. You have already you've already gone through this cycle many, many times. And the reason it seems the same is because each cycle is similar, but everyone changes a little bit and it builds upon itself, right? And I want to read something that I gathered while I was reading about this. A strange loop isn't about being stuck. It's about revisiting the same themes, but each time you're doing it from a higher perspective, gaining new insights, new growth. It's not a circle, it's a spiral. Always moving forward, even when it feels familiar. You're progressing in ways you might not even realize yet. And that's what has been happening. And this, no? Okay. So this comes from a, an entity that I've worked with that I never expected to work with, that just has been very loud. Um, and they have made themselves known. And they've made themselves known through a very, 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 very long, 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 strange loop that's been happening for a long, long time. Maybe even since I was born, but definitely since I was in my teenage years. And they are also with you. I'm not going to name them because it doesn't really matter. It's that energy is going to be different for who you are, but and you don't have to work with a deity or anything like that. You don't. They they'll work with you regardless, and they are, and you can see the signs. If you see certain signs, if you just look back on your life and you start seeing signs now, you can even ask for signs and start just writing them down. Like what are things that stick out to you? That will become a strange loop. You will go into the process of recursion on that, and it will build on itself, and you will start to see, okay, so these are the signs and symbols that I get regularly, recurringly, right? And so those are the signs and symbols that must be associated with this entity, this deity, or this spirit that I am being guided by. And you will find it. You will find it. It's going to be different for everybody, who it is or how they manifest. Ultimately, they're the same thing, but um, they're also individuated. So we have that process of dualities. And this has been, oh god, it's like the universe has been screaming like philosophy into my ear for the past few weeks. And it's so anyway, I have a spread that I'm going to get into. Feel free to do times two speed on this, or whatever speed you want. So if you're a little bit like me, ADHD. So oh, I could go into this though. Self-referential systems. So like, okay, I want to just get into this. You can skip to the reading if you want though. Self-referencing systems and identity. Strange loops are built on self-reference. Hofstadter explores how systems like Gödel's incompleteness theorem, Escher's recursive drawings, and Bach's fugues reflect the paradox of I. Our consciousness is self-referential. Oops, I just turned off my iPad. That's an interesting thing. So, okay, then I'll stop after this. Our consciousness is a self-referential system, a loop that perceives itself perceiving. You can highlight this loop, how this loop isn't stagnant. Okay, oh, I see. Okay, well, let me go to the last one. The Ouroboros of understanding. Strange loops are like Ouroboros, so that's the snake eating itself. The snake eats its own tail. It's not an act of destruction, but one of renewal. Each loop consumes the old, integrates it, and births something entirely fresh. Also, societal loops. So, a lot of times we feel like these loops are a bad thing, that they're just naturally detrimental, but really, those loops are self-repairing. Now, you can make choices to make those loops become more to improve them, to make them more, God, what's the word, more impactful in a positive way is what I'm saying. But even if you didn't, they would still probably get better. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that, but they would probably get better, especially now that you're just aware of them. Like, literally, that's all it takes. That self-reference is all it takes to make those loops start becoming more, God, why can't I think of this word? Useful for you. So, societal loops preserve traditions, shared knowledge, and so without these loops, by the way, we would be so disconnected. We would not be alive, because even life itself is a strange loop. And the traditions, the shared knowledge, all the things that our language, they're all products of a strange loop. What the words that I'm speaking right now are because of the fact that thousands of generations of humans spoke, and it recursed, and it just, it all looped back, and we all talk about the same things in a way, and we have a lot of the same words and ideas and concepts, but they keep recurring, and then they change through that recurring. So it could be neutral, it could be positive, it could be negative. But what I'm getting here, because this message was so loud, is that if you're here watching this, you are in one of these loops. Yes, you're in many of these loops. But so is everybody. But the thing is that the loops that you're focused on are not going to end in as terrible things as you think. It's not going to end in the way that you think. You probably think that this loop is going to end with heartbreak or suffering or whatever, or loneliness, or you're never going to find someone, you're never going to, be happy. That's not the case. You are here because that loop that you're in is not only just, they're not only just saying that's not the case, but what they're also saying is this loop that you're in was super necessary. We could say even karmically, like as in like learning these survival mechanisms that we learned in past lives that are not useful for us anymore, and letting those go. But also, just in general, this loop was required for you to learn something, and to gain skills that you're going to need. So it's not even just something that you needed to learn this lesson. It's not just about like things that you did in the past or something like that. No, it's more about like, what are the skills that you need in the future? And that's why you're in this loop. So in the end, this loop, even if it's terrible, and like for me, like this is really hard for me to accept and to embrace, but it is what it is. This loop, no matter how terrible it seemed for you, everything that has happened so far, it all served a purpose, that it was all, I mean, I hate to say the cliche, but it was all for a reason. There's something in your future that you don't know about that is coming, that will make it all at least semi worth it. I'm not saying that all of it's going to be worth it, 10 on the clock, but it it will all seem under, it will be comprehensible to you. It will. So, let's see. Let's look at. Oh God, I have so much more about these loops. I guess I'm gonna make another video with this. And by the way, I've been gone for a while, but I'm gonna try to be back. I'm gonna at least try to post once a week, hopefully more, but I'm not gonna make any promises there. So, let's see. Should we do the entry point or the origin, the reflection? Oh, I see. Okay, I see what I did. Okay, so I looked up some stuff, and anyway, there's a little loop that I missed there. So we're gonna look at the entry point. What feels repetitive or stagnant in your life right now? So what is this loop that you've been in? And actually, you know what? We're gonna start with 0. We're gonna say this is card 0. So instead of asking what is the loop yet, let's ask, where did this come from? So we're not interested in what the loop actually is. We're just interested in knowing, what is the origin of this? Where did it come from? How did it begin in this life for the collective? Wow, I cannot make this shit up. The wheel. This is the card of the strange loop. This is the card of the strange loop. It started, this has all happened before, and this will all happen again. Battlestar Galactica. It's a strange loop that has, it started at the beginning of time. They're saying they're really putting this, a bigger perspective on this here, and highlighting that higher perspective, excuse me, but also a bigger perspective. Maybe someone wanted to be the bigger person. So this isn't for everybody, but someone wanted to be the bigger person. That's where this came from. You wanted to be the bigger person, and it caused a loop that in the end, maybe standing up for yourself would have been, you feel like standing up for yourself would have been the right move. For some of you, you literally had a fall. This came from people being cold to you. It's like that woman here. She's just looking at the other lady falling, and she's like, she doesn't care. She's like, I'm up here, and you're down there, and as long as it's not me, it's okay. But it's going to be her soon anyway. So maybe, you know what? Just take it as it resonates. But somebody kind of contributed to somebody else falling, metaphorically, whether it be you or somebody else, and that led to a strange loop on both sides. Because remember, there's so many strange loops happening at all. Life itself is a strange loop. Consciousness is a strange loop. So, but in this case, the loop that we're focused on, it happened because of a coldness, maybe a coldness towards life. People made you cold. People made you that way because you didn't know how to be different. If you were exposed to, whenever a loop is put in and exposed to situations, experiences that are difficult, those experiences will stay in that loop. That's part of it. And the empathy, because, okay, I'm going to read this part. Empathy as a strange loop. A profound idea in I Am Strange Loop is that we create copies of others inside our own loops. Every person you've loved or lost becomes a strange loop within you, shaping your identity. So, right. So it started for some of you with what I said before. Some of you, it was with somebody being cold to you, or you being cold to somebody else, somebody pushing you down, or you pushing somebody else down. And this is not about punishment or blaming or anything like that. But it also started with a lack of empathy for you. Somebody had a lack of empathy for you, and that inserted this lack of empathy into your loops. And so it's brought you to a place where you feel like nobody has that empathy for you, because why would you assume that after so long of experiencing so many difficult things? Why would you? I mean, what you're exposed to, what the loop is, the water that the loop swims in is the only nourishment for it. So you cannot blame yourself for where you are now when you didn't have the information that you needed to go to a different place. You can't, and also that loop that it creates is so detrimental. So don't let that loop start. If it does, let it cycle through, let it recurse, but don't resist it, and be aware of it. Be aware of that loop as it plays out, because being aware of the loop gives you the power in that situation. But somebody tried to take power away from you. They tried to take money away from you. They tried to take resources, abundance, security away from you. But what I'm getting really from that card is like a holding back. It's put in your loop this holding back. This I don't, you know, no, maybe not. This, ugh, should I do that? Should I really let myself be that vulnerable and tell them that I am interested in them? Or should I really be that vulnerable? Should I really, I don't know if I want to give my energy to that, because what if it doesn't work out? Yeah, honestly, no, that's not the only reason I haven't been posting, but definitely part of it. So next part of this strange loop that we're in, the mirror. Oh, sorry, no, we were on the entry point still, because yeah, this doesn't really make sense so much. But anyway, so what? It doesn't matter. What feels stagnant or repetitive in the viewer's life right now? So I want to know what's going on with you. What is this loop that we're in now? How is it manifesting now? Oh, okay. So we have the Eight of Materials, and we have the Five of Pentacles, or Five of Materials. Oh, wow, okay. So it's manifesting in a very physical way right now. But some of you might... Okay, let me just... Is this predictive, or is this... do they already know this? Thank you. I should have specified this before. Okay, so it's something... I feel like you already know it. If it is predictive, I will say that they're minor arcana. So I don't think it's anything huge, right? It's not. Sometimes we get these dramatic minor arcana cards, and we think, oh my god, what is, I'm gonna die, like what? But really, it's actually, you'll see how they manifest in much smaller ways than you would imagine. But right now, this loop, what I got was like a loss of a job, but I would say it's not that exactly. It could be, but it's really not that. It's, oh, well, I know what it is for me. So, and I'll just give you this example from my life. I think, okay, so we have the Eight of Materials, we have the Five Materials, and we have the Four of Swords. So to me, it sounds like a loss of a job, but also it could be just a loss of income, a loss of maybe some health, maybe you're sick a little bit. But for me, I think it's because I work online I teach English for a French company, and they have a lot of fucking vacations. Good for them, right? Good for them. But for me, I'm a contractor, so I can't make any money if they're on vacation. It makes no sense as a company. It's a strange loop that I need to get out of. But in any case, that's what I'm saying. Is like, for 2 weeks ish, I won't have very many classes, and for a few days during that, I won't have any. So I will not make the money that I want to make. So, but it also gave me the positive side, which is you'll get some rest. Which is something I don't want. I want to be able to not feel like I have to work. That's really okay. That's coming up for a reason, though. So when you're on vacation, if you're gonna have vacation soon, or if you're on vacation now, I'm really getting strong Hanukkah vibes. Okay. So if you were considering, if that's something you celebrate, if you were considering doing that, they want me to say, if you were considering going somewhere or seeing family, or just celebrating in general, I'm getting almost a vibe like somebody doesn't really celebrate this anymore as part of their family, but they don't do it. They're saying consider doing it this year, um, because that in itself is a loop. That story of I can't. I don't want to make myself look so stupid, but I know the basic story is about the candles and how they um, continued. The fire continued despite it shouldn't have continued, right? That's interesting. I had some matches here. I don't know why. Holy crap. Okay, this is a strange loop. It says, see how it's recurring, and I'm kind of going back to where it started, and then there's more that comes out. That is a strange loop. And you'll notice every single thing in this world is that. And the more you notice that, they're saying the more aware you'll be. This is a place where your awareness has been you've had a blind spot of awareness, which has led to certain things happening and certain loops continuing in a way that you didn't want, because you just simply didn't know. You didn't know what you didn't know what you didn't know. Okay, so that is the loop. I hope that, so a material loss of some sort or sickness leads to getting some rest, which you wanted. So, but then you're going to start the loop of the matter is that you're going to start back and things will be okay again. But there's always going to be these cycles of less abundance or less health, or feeling a little bit abandoned by somebody. I think, okay, some people are being like abandoned, but it's really perceived abandonment. It's really not what you think it is. I'm just getting that it's not all is not what is all is not as it seems. That just looped back to another video I did, which I'm not going to go there right now. Okay, so did I ask what is? I don't know if I asked this. So what is this loop reflecting about you? God, if you just the recursion in this video itself is crazy. What is this loop reflecting about you? It is reflecting good news. Wow. It's reflecting an opening of your heart space. Let's take a little breath and just open your heart, like literally expand your ribs. And if you have any, like in your shoulders and your shoulder blades, if there's any tension, don't try to change it. Just watch it for a second. And imagine just the tip of your shoulder blade is just like barely, like a millimeter, just barely going down towards your tailbone. And then as you breathe out, it goes back to where it was. And don't try to force it. And then do the same thing as if you're little flapping wings and you can barely see my shoulder moving. But it should even be slower. And I don't know why I'm getting that, but I'm getting other people have similar tensions in the back there. So also a loop. And that will, oh wow, that helps. It's just crazy how well that works, those little micro movements. So somebody needed to hear that. So okay, yes, it's reflecting tensions within you. And when I say tensions, it could be so many different things, not just like physical tensions, but like places where you're stuck. No, it's, well, okay, stuck, but places where there's rigidity, because you've never looped through a cycle where that rigidity wasn't something that you needed, or wasn't something that you felt you needed. Okay, I saw this bottom card, Two of Inspiration. It's reflecting some choices you've made, but okay, it's reflecting how. Oh, okay. This loop, now that you're aware of it, is going to start reflecting how choices you've made have not always been a bad thing. So I'm getting that I need to use for the next part an oracle card. So interesting. Okay, we're at 25 minutes, so I'm going to get this sped up a little bit. Card 3, Pattern Maker. What recurring theme or archetype is shaping this loop? Draws attention to deeper, often unconscious themes. 6th chakra, Archangel Metatron. Okay, I've been having big chills like down the back of my thigh today, and like here, like on the side, like the back right side, and I don't know what that could mean. If you find out, then let me know, because I do feel like that specific pattern of chills is relevant somehow. Recurring theme, your intuition. What about that? What about that recurring theme? Deceit. But it was reversed, so it's not deceiving. Okay, so, and this was also in reverse, so a blocking of intuition due to the fact that you feel like it's deceiving you. Your intuition is not just a hobby. It is a survival skill. It is a necessity. It is something that you must develop. Okay, that was not really me. All I know about that is that that message was brought to you in a much more tamer way than I might have said it, because of how serious it is. You must develop your intuition. Do not allow yourself to believe that it is optional. It is not. It is not. I mean, I don't even know whose voice that is. They're not playing about that. Okay, so it, from the simple awareness of that, Spirit, thank you. Will this be enough to curtail anything that they really need to tap into their intuition and in order to avoid or to create? Reprioritize what is important. Okay. So the pattern is that you doubt your intuition, you think it's deceitful, but really what's deceitful is your thoughts. And all really what's deceitful is the world around you. It's not telling you the truth. There are people around you that are putting you back into these loops that you don't need to continue. That if you're in them, you need to accept them and be with them. Okay, that those loops, you can't just like exit them. You need to allow them to fizzle out if they're going to fizzle out, or to continue and build up and build up. But trying to just walk out of them is not how it works, because you think you're walking out the door, but really you're just going into the same, like it doesn't work, you're just going to go in the same direction anyway. So that doesn't mean to not change things. That just means that like just that you shouldn't change things. It's just that how can I say that? It's like just trying to, it's like a hall of mirrors. Like you have to tune in and notice the patterns and notice the differences and how the reflection is, and that's the only way you're going to get out. You're not going to get out by just trying to break through the mirror. There's brick behind the mirror. It doesn't matter if the mirror gets broken, you're still in there. So, what recurring theme of, okay, we did that. So the expansion point, how is this loop refining you rather than confining you? Okay, that's a great question. Let's use these cards. How is this loop confining the viewer rather than confining them? Sorry, refining rather than confining. Reframes the stuck feeling as part of an evolutionary process, offering hope and perspective. And it's not just designed that way. There is a reason I like this. You have no idea. This 111 on the clock, because I had to restart the video. You have no idea how much this theme has been like shouting at me. If you did, you would see. You would see that this is the breaking point in this loop for me. Not breaking out, but breaking through, breaking into, looping back into, folding in, self identifying. The I is an illusion, not just philosophically, but literally. I don't know why that came out, because I was, oh my goodness gracious, the star. Like I said, like I said, like I said. So it's although I frame that in a strange way, but I have to say, that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what it was. The star is healing. The star is renewal. And it does imply in the past, there have been some shitty freaking situations that you've had to deal with. This kind of fell out a little bit. What is that? That's the Four of Pentacles once again. So, okay. This healing is allowing you to get out of cycles of poverty, cycles of feeling abandoned, cycles of feeling. Am I tripping? No, that is the four. Okay, sorry, that is the four. That is the four. Some of you are getting married. So this loop is allowing you to make commitments to healing. You're making a commitment to healing, and it's not going to feel like an overburden kind of thing. It's not going to feel like you're overburdened with responsibilities anymore. It's going to feel like something that's refreshing, that you're like, oh yes, I want to do this. This is what I've wanted to do, and I've just not been in the right loop to do it. Not been in the right cycle. But now is the time. Now is the cycle, and I'm not saying that to push you. I don't need to push you. The loop is going to push you itself, as long as you allow it to do its thing, to recurse, to build upon itself. And all it takes, like I said, is knowing about it, and now you do. You're welcome. I'm just kidding. God, that was really bitchy. I'm gonna leave it though. So I didn't ask, I guess, but I think this is for the catalyst. I should have asked. What action or insight can help you step into the next? Oh, sorry. What action or insight can help you step into the next phase of this loop? Yeah, just allowing yourself to I mean, that's exactly. It's just to jump into it, just to step into it, just to step into this another loop, like, because again, we are in a lot of loops at the same time. So allow yourself to step into a new loop. Just because this loop hasn't closed doesn't mean you can't start a new one. You know, a new beginning doesn't mean that something else is necessarily ending right away. And it can fizzle out on itself. If it needs to, or maybe it won't. Maybe it doesn't need to. Maybe the loop will self-regulate, which is a loop as well. Learning and self-regulation and all that stuff, those are just different kinds of loops that you put yourself in. Conditioning is different kinds of loops that you put yourself in intentionally, on purpose, because it's helpful. And you think that it's not doing anything at first. You think that the therapy, you think that the meditation, you think all that stuff is not doing anything at first, but it feels that way because the recursion is slow, that these iterations are slow. The catalyst, other than that, is the Nine of Pentacles. Whoa. What action or insight can help you step into that? So A practical takeaway or energetic shift. So just stepping into the next loop without being concerned about whether the previous loop is still holding you down. It doesn't matter. It's not going to continue to hold you down, because stepping into this new loop allows you to be free of it, independent of it, and feeling secure from it. Okay. I just got, so this was interesting the way that insight, and it came for absolutely no reason. I got a little bit of a one of those thoughts that you don't want to have. It's like those thoughts that come in and they're like kind of painful, about somebody kind of rejecting me. So there's this rejection thing that is kind of a recurring theme in this reading. If there was a rejection recently or any time in your life that that is part of this loop, they want you to know that there's one of my guys is with me on the cliches, is rejection is divine protection. Okay, but it is, but also you're gonna find out why. You're gonna find out why that was a good thing for you. You're really gonna see it. It's gonna be obvious. You're gonna see the people that person dealt with after you, and you're gonna be like, holy shit, I really dodged a bullet there. I really, really did. Venusian Light Tarot just posted. That was definitely a sign. I love her. She's just amazing. I love her. Such a nice energy. So the higher octave, what new dimension is waiting to emerge? I gotta get through this, dude. Okay. Queen of Pentacles. Wow. So I always think of I don't always. I often think of the Empress when I think of the Queen of Pentacles. So you're birthing a new project, but not only that, but it's like you have the experience to do it. This is about fractals. So I would just go and research that. That's kind of, I don't want to get into it, but fractals. This card shows how loop is leading to a broader and more evolved version of the current life. That's you. That's you. That's the evolution. That's the opposite of that Five of Pentacles energy. It's the opposite of that. It's when all of those loops that cause that Five of Pentacles, that abandonment, that poverty, that sickness, that all of that stuff, that the physical world just isn't right for you, that kind of thing. It's like all of that resolves, and it's coming. I mean, like literally, I cannot make this shit up. I just pulled that, and like I got the star that time, and then this. Literally the opposite of the problem that we've been seeing in this loop here, in this reading. By the way, the tarot itself is a strange loop. By the way, if you don't know, now you know, but if you haven't heard of this before, which I hadn't either, it's from a book, it's from a few books, but it's the number one I'm thinking of is Gödel, Escher, Bach, an eternal golden braid, and also a book, I don't know the name, I mean, it might be Hofstadter. That is the book, the author of the other one. I don't really know, but you'll find it. And the other one is called I Am a Strange Loop, and I'm sure there's a lot of other ones, and it's fascinating. It really is. And it seemed kind of stupid at first to me, and then the more it recursed, the more I realize how important it is. So how can you align with the flow of this loop instead of resisting it? So important. Okay, I'm getting that. I'm going to pull one of these. Okay, I'm going to pull one of these. This card's advice on embracing the loop's rhythm and using it as a fuel for co-creation. Bottom of the deck is Queen of Materials. Let me just show you. Spirit is like, no, just in case they're doubting, just in case, we're gonna show them. Yeah. Hold on. I did. It was reversed. I mean, it wasn't reversed or upright because it was on the bottom of the deck. And but I would say I saw it reverse. So I would say, self-trust. Self-trust. Uh, that's the kind of that's the resistance. The lack of self-trust is the resistance to this loop, and why you're staying in it, and why it's not changing enough for you, why it seems like it's not enough for you. So self-trust is part of this key, right? Seven of Swords. So getting away from something. Queen of Emotions and Victory. It was reversed. I'm gonna give you that one. So you don't always have to win. It doesn't always need to be a win. It doesn't. A win on the outside is not always important. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's nice. Maybe it's not important, but it's nice. But you're getting away from a manipulator winning. You're getting away from letting your emotions get the better of you, letting your emotions win, and not knowing the difference between emotions and intuition. That's what you're getting away from, and that's how you're aligned. That's how you can align. But I feel like this is happening regardless. But that's how you, if you set that intention, then it's going to help make this progress faster. And that's how you're going to embrace this loop's rhythm. That's how you're going to use it as fuel for your co-creation. You don't always have to win, though. It doesn't always have to feel like a victory. They're saying that's not it. That's not exactly what it is. It doesn't always have to feel like a victory. They're saying, but that's not really the message. The message is that when dealing with other people, looking victorious is not always is not really the issue. Feeling that way is that feeling that you're victorious no matter what side you were on, even if you did lose. How were you victorious? How can you make it a win for yourself? And I know that seems like you're pressing into toxic positivity, but they're saying there's room for everything here. There's room for everything. Okay, so there's room for a mix. So sometimes even pessimism, they're saying, can be a positive thing in a way, but if it's used in the correct way. So you have to figure out, what is it that I value? Like, is it realism? Is it optimism? Probably not pessimism, but maybe. Is it realism or is it optimism? What is it I value? And then how can you use the opposite part of that, opposite spectrum of that, and integrate it? Take that as you will. That's just what I'm getting. Lord. Okay, so finally, since we've been here anyway, I'm gonna pull some just a few of these cards, and then I'm gonna be done with this one. But we'll get back into loops because loops are fun. So final messages. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, comment down below, tell me what you think. Please do like the video. Subscribe to my channel for sure. And power. You got the power. You have the power here. You do have the power. And it's by power, I mean to say anything that you felt overwhelmed, so overwhelmed that it made you feel powerless, that you were practically powerless because your feelings were holding you down, like the emotions that you were having they were getting the better of you, and you didn't know how to get out of that. You now have that power. And it is about setting the intention and maybe even putting a little effort, but it's not going to be the kind of effort that you imagine, because the loop is going to be naturally resolving itself instead of you trying to resist it, it's trying to slow it down. And it's like, I'm just hearing like the train, like it's like I'm hearing a train screech to a halt, and it's not going to stop in time. It's not, you know? So let it keep going. Grounded. Grounding in general would be good right now, just as a general advice. Going and then doing like this down towards your groin. Oh, it doesn't have to be those notes, but just high, mid, low will help you ground. Even just doing that, I feel a little bit more grounded. Wow. Pulling on your ear very gently, not so much that you can't hear me. Karmic path, grounded, karmic path, power. You are getting out of this karmic cycle. So this loop is a karmic cycle for us. Okay. Like and subscribe. Love you so much for watching.